Good morning. Wednesday morning, 9 a.m. First half of the week, so far so good. Second half of the week, even awesomer. I love that. That's spectacular. So I wanted to start out today a little bit differently and give you a little, instead of some funny Ellen, some inspiration. This is a cool mother and daughter. No, it's not a mother and daughter. It's a mother and son team, I think in the UK. So enjoy this for just a moment. Awesome. Awesome. I can listen to that all day long. Pretty talented people. All righty. Announcements for the day. Let's start off. I know Kimberly, you had a question for our mortgage partners on the call. Could you unmute and throw that question out so we can get that answered?
Good morning, everyone. So I have two buyer clients who are purchasing a home with a CHFA loan. And the goal was to close this month. However, yesterday I got an email from their attorney saying that due to CHFA blackout regulations, loan may close on from the 1st to the 15th each month. So the soonest available date to close is July 1st. So I'm posing the question to our mortgage partners, is this something that's new that you think will go away? What are your thoughts? Were you aware of it? Because I think as listing agents and buyer's agents, when we're writing up offers, we need to keep something like this in mind, that if the buyer has a CHFA, you got 2 weeks to close each month or else it's not going to happen.
Kimberly, it's Bill
Yes.
McNamara. We haven't done CHFA in about a year, but that's never been the issue, the case before. I'm going to say it's a COVID thing, but they've had some weird restrictions, but that's never been one of them.
Kimberly, it's Tammy. We just unsuspended COVID. I mean, we just unsuspended CHFA loans yesterday. So effective like Monday, actually, we're able to write CHFA loans. And I can double check for you, but I have not seen restrictions like that, but it wouldn't surprise me because they are slowly loosening up those guidelines. So I can double check that with CHFA for you.
Okay, if you can, because, you know, as we're writing offers and reviewing offers for our sellers, you know, timing's everything, especially if everything going on and people losing jobs because of COVID. So we just all want to make sure that we're representing our clients to the best of our ability. Thank you.
I will double check that for you.
Cool, thanks.
Yeah, thanks guys, and thanks Kimberly for bringing that to our attention. So just as an awareness issue, if you have buyers or sellers who are involved in a transaction where a CHFA loan is going to provide the funding, you may want to just ask some questions around that and make sure that closing dates can remain the way they were written and may not have to, unless they have to shift. So wanted to just bring that to you this morning. Two other announcements real quick. We do have an awesome panel of your peers at 1 o'clock today, talking about staying on track and moving forward with hitting and exceeding 2020 goals. So do be on tap for that. We have, I think, 4 or 5 really powerful panelists for you today. So 1 o'clock today on this Zoom channel. And then, of course, not too late to invite any Spanish-speaking potential real estate agents or Spanish-speaking already licensed real estate agents in that $1 to $2 million range to Carlos's career night in Espanol this evening at 6 o'clock, I believe. Carlos, am I right about 6 o'clock?
7 o'clock. Unfortunately, I meant to say 6 o'clock, but I put it at 7, and now it's at 7, and it flew at 7.
Got it. Okay, so at 7 o'clock. If they come at 6 o'clock, you'll have to sing to them for an hour. So be prepared for that. But 7 o'clock tonight for anyone who is interested in diving into this industry and is a Spanish speaker. So thank you, Carlos, for that. So I was going to spend a little time this morning playing you another moment, a minute with Maxwell moment, because John Maxwell is a massive wealth of knowledge and information. And when I looked at what I had for you this morning, I thought we actually could make the point faster and easier with a quick synopsis and then a story. And so I've been watching Minute with Maxwell on his problem solving series, which is about 6 or 8 sessions with John talking about working through a problem. And I will tell you, as the guy who gets the phone calls, right, one of the things that we all have an opportunity to improve is our problem solving ability. And I don't say that as a you need to get better. I say that as a we need to continue to look at how we can continue to problem solve at a higher level, because I think it's not necessarily natural to many, and it is a skill. And so, like working out, you've got to keep working that muscle. And as you continue to learn better problem solving skills, you get to then educate your clients about how to problem solve, which now has people advocating and solving problems on their own. And do you see how that kind of just eases the burden for everybody involved if people can and will step up and step into their problem solving. So I want to give you just a couple of quick problem solving tips, which condenses a lot of the Maxwell material down into just a couple of points, and then tell you a quick story about how this shows up in our world. So a couple of quick problem solving tips. Number one, you got to look at reality. You can't dive into problem solving if you're not actually looking at what the reality of the issue actually is, right? I had somebody who used to say that there were no such thing as problems. They were just solution opportunities. That's what they called problems, solution opportunities. So when you have a solution opportunity, you need to just look at it, see what it is for real, and not stick your head in the sand about it. Because what's real about when those issues or those problems creep up is that they don't typically just go away on their own, right? You've got to look at them and figure out what the next step is, and look at it with a sense of reality. Number two, figure out what the options are. You've heard me say that a million times, right? A big part of our job is we are the options people. We don't necessarily have to have the answers, we have to have the options so that the clients can then choose an option and pursue that option. So are you good at looking at an issue or a problem or a challenge and determining what the options are to move forward? So after you've chosen that option, determined the options, you need to choose an option, you need to pick one and take action. So number three is take action. Take action on one of the options that you've outlined. Number three is probably the most important one because it's where a lot of people get stuck. They work out something in their head and then they think, okay, well, let me come up with all the reasons why that might not work. If you've already put it down as an option and you choose that one as the best one, put all the judgment about it aside and take action on it. You'll know relatively quickly whether that action will actually solve the issue or not. And if it doesn't, the good news is you already spent time outlining options. So you can go back to that options list and say, okay, well, that one didn't quite get the job done. What if I go with number two and take action on that one? Sometimes you'd be surprised about what gets the job done. Number four, you need to not be attached to the outcome. One of the real secrets in problem solving is a version of fearlessness that says, when I'm going to go down and problem solve this issue, if it doesn't work, I'm not devastated. The world doesn't come to an end, right? The sun still comes up the next day, the birds still sing, right? All those things keep moving if you don't solve the issue, right? So you have to not be attached to that outcome. It puts you in a much more objective place, and objectivity is power in a scenario like that, right? And number five is rinse and repeat. It's the idea that, issues will pop up each and every day. Issues will come at us fast and furious sometimes. You need to have the fluidity in your day to just kind of look at that and then run through this list real quick and start taking action. When you get better and better and better at it, the first couple just happen almost automatically in your head, right? You'll find yourself just moving towards action more and more quickly, which is when people say, oh, that person's a real problem solver, that's what they're doing. They're not skipping these steps. They're just jumping to the action because they've gotten so good at the reality check and the options in their head that they've chosen one and they're onto the action it takes. And so I want to just give you a quick story about how this shows up sometimes in our world. I was having a conversation with an agent earlier this week who came to me and said, I have a listing client who I'm looking to sign, and I'm really having a struggle with them in that the square footage of their property is inclusive of what they've finished in the lower level, but the lower level square footage isn't on the field card, right? How many times have all of us had to deal with that, right? It's one of the natures of our beast, right? And so we had this conversation around, here's the reality of it. The reality is the lower level square footage doesn't appear on the field card. So the MLS will have a problem with that. They'll flag it, and they may not allow the listing to move forward. So what are your options? And we kind of went through what the options were, and went back and he went back to the client. Well, what came back to me the next morning was, unfortunately, the client doesn't believe that that's the case, and we've decided to just part ways. And I thought, well, that's kind of nutty. I'm not sure I would accept that. So let's go through the options now. What options do we have? And we started to list them. Right? You could get somebody else on the telephone with that particular person. You could have a conference call with you, the listing, the seller, and the MLS, so the MLS can actually talk about exactly what the rules are and how you have to do that. We could have a conversation with the town or the city about how your square footage is listed if you really don't agree with it. Like, let's go through the list. And so he chose one of those and went back and came back and said, okay, well, so unfortunately, the more I explained that after I looked at that information, the more the seller believed that I was just refusing to do it. And I just don't think that it's worth having an argument, because the seller gave me a screenshot of something that had it broken out. So maybe some realtors are allowed to do it, or some are not. So I just, I think that's just that we have to call it quits. And so I went back again and said, are you open for some coaching? What would you like me and you to call the MLS together to ask them for help, ask them for the options that exist? And by the time we got to that point in the conversation, it became clear that this screenshot that was sent by the seller wasn't an MLS screenshot. It was a Realtor.com screenshot. Like, okay. So now we have another option. Now it's not about what the MLS will prevent. We can put it out on the MLS the way it has to be done on the MLS. And then we have options that we can kind of uncheck the feed, right? And manipulate the data on some of the other websites. What if you went back to the seller and said, we've now figured something out to allow you to have it show up the way you want it to show up on this platform? And so he went back and had that conversation. After saying to me, I don't know, that's going to be really tough, because this is someone who is so dead set that they want it there. Well, guess what? He came back 2 hours later and said, I'm taking the listing. I'm going to be sending you the paperwork momentarily, right? And so there's an opportunity there that without proper problem solving and without pushing to get the answer that you're looking for, this was a $450,000 listing that likely would have just slipped through our fingers, and that's not okay. Right? That's not okay. We've got to get better at stepping through this problem solving and not allowing sellers or anyone on the outside to take control over what we know to be the facts. Sometimes people resist the facts, and we have to find a way through that to get to the answer that we're looking for. So I commend that person on doing whatever it is they needed to do to get that listing. And I tell you that story because problem solving shows up in our businesses every single day, and we've got to continue to build those muscles. All right, I hope that was helpful. Marty Miller is nice and short today, so I knew I had an extra few minutes. Adonis, take us to Marty.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. Let's all be problem solvers and solution oriented. How about that? So today, Marty's going to go over assigning and chatting with a team member and opportunity. Quick video.
Good morning, Keller Williams, and welcome back to the KW Command 66-Day Challenge, Day 57. So today I want to talk to you a little bit about kind of a team aspect of Command, and that is the ability to share opportunities with other team members or assign them. And then secondly, the ability to communicate or have a chat with another team member when you're looking at certain documents within Command as well. So let's do this. Let's dive into opportunities. So you're going to see that's the sixth applet down. It's the handshake icon on the left-hand side. And this is my team. So you can see my team pipeline here. And then I'm going to switch over to my incognito browser and show you this is my wife. She's on my team. And this is her opportunity pipeline. So when I come down and click on her opportunity pipeline, she can see Summit Property Group. Now I want you to pay attention here. Under contract, she shows 0 listings. If I come back to my pipeline, I can see a listing here. So it's clear that this opportunity has not been shared with my wife. Okay, so if this was something that maybe I was working on and my wife was also working on, now this could be you and any team member, right? Maybe it's you as the rainmaker assigning something to an admin on your team or a buyer's agent on your team, whatever it may be. I have created this opportunity. Unfortunately, I did not assign it to her, so she can't actually see it. So I want to come in and actually click on this opportunity. And then I'm going to come in the Details app, the submenu, which you kind of default to. I want to click on this pencil icon. And then up here where it says Assignees, I want to make sure that I add Nicole to this actual transaction. So when I assign Nicole and I come down and click on Save, well, now I can go back into her pipeline and do a quick refresh. And all of a sudden that under contract 0 goes to 1. Okay, so now I can click on that and I can see it in the actual same stage that it's at in mine. And I can click on it and see all of the information just as I could in mine. So I'm going to click on the Documents tab. Now this is within hers. Let's say she was handling maybe document management. She comes in here, she sees that I have not added anything with regards to maybe the appraisal. So she could click on Add Comment and she could say, come down to the message at the bottom and say, hey, do you know if the appraisal has been ordered? And if so, when we're getting it back? Okay, so she's going to click on Add Reply. And you can see under Contract Checklist, here's the comment. This is her leaving this comment. So if I come back into my command and I go into Documents and I'm under contract, you can see here's this little red icon next to a little comment button. It means, hey, somebody has made a comment. Now in this case, it might have been my admin or it might have been Nicole, but I can click on the actual comment with the red dot and it pulls up that window you saw earlier. So here it says, Nicole, hey, do you know if the appraisal has been ordered? And if so, when we're getting it back? So I can say it's been ordered. They did it on Monday. Not sure when we're getting it back. I could click on Add Reply. I go back into Nicole's account and I do a refresh. She's going to get an alert in her folder now with a red dot next to the comment. So she's going to know that I've actually replied. So she can click on that and see my reply. It's been ordered. They did it on Monday. Not sure when we're getting it back. She could reply back, okay, I'll call and see where we're at. Add reply. And again, her message pops up one more time back into my command. And next time I'm in here in the documents, I would see a red dot next to comments. And I would see the fact that she's going to call and follow up. And I could always be nice and say, thanks. So you can imagine if you had both a rainmaker, maybe a listing agent, you had a transaction coordinator, maybe a listing coordinator, right? So there's a variety of people that you can assign this to and then all have chats within the actual document. So again, remember, in order to assign someone, you're just going to click on the opportunity, click on the pencil within the Details submenu above General Information and change the assignees or add an assignee. That's how the other person can then see this opportunity in their pipeline. And then from there, when you're in the Documents tab, you can have document folder level conversations with members on your team to discuss what's happening with certain items of the transaction, paperwork, etc. So that's it for today's challenge, guys. Hope you're all having a fantastic day. And
Very good, Marty. Thank you. Thank you. So tomorrow's session is going to be pretty cool. It's going to be emailing documents directly into a DocuSign room. So I don't know if you've seen that one in the past. It's a cool trick that he can show us. So tonight's going to be a good night with the Spanish Career Night. Today's going to be a good day. We'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.